The American Trucking Associations and the National Association of Truckstop Operators thank you for spending a few minutes with us to learn how truck drivers and truck stop operators can be partners in a major effort to reduce truck stop accidents and help the industry minimize other related problems. One of the first things to remember is that reducing accidents at truck stops takes cooperation. Cooperation on the part of drivers and truck stop operators to make the truck stop a safer place for everyone. The benefits of cooperation include less hassles, reduced losses, better working environments, fewer insurance claims, and an improved public image. Let's go out to a truck stop and see how drivers and truck stop operators can work together to make truck stops safe and secure.
Well, I think we as operators recognize the fact that the trucker is our customer. Without him, we don't exist. I think it's common recognizing that we're all individuals and recognizing that we're human beings, and we want to be showing the common courtesies one to another that are expected of us, recognizing that the customer to us is paramount all the time. We want everybody to be treated, everybody comes in here is treated like a customer. You'll find that we have guidelines for almost everything. Parking places are very well designed, for instance, to ensure that he doesn't run into somebody else, and we have no parking signs prominently displayed where we don't want him to park because he would interfere with somebody else's right-of-way if he did that. We're also very careful about exits and entrances. We take a considerable amount of time designing the truck stop to ensure that there's a flow of traffic that minimizes his risk and ensures he goes in the right direction so that he doesn't run head-on into somebody going the opposite direction, which has happened from time to time. But, the ingredients of being successful in the service industry, and that's what we are, is treating the customer with dignity and courtesy and respect.
When entering a truck stop or rest area, scan the entire space for stationary objects, parked or moving vehicles, or pedestrians that could potentially cause an accident. Proceed through the truck stop or rest area slowly and with extreme caution. You may need to react quickly to something unexpected. And be courteous. Try to keep the engine speed down. Other drivers may be trying to sleep. Remember that when maneuvering around truck stops, there are many objects in a very confined space. Much like city driving, maneuvering through fuel stops, truck stops, or rest areas requires intensified scanning and an extra degree of caution and care. Watch out for lampposts, garbage cans, or other exposed objects. Ideally, high traffic areas at the truck stop should be as free of debris and freestanding objects as possible. Pay particular attention to any posted speed limit signs, the directional signs, and barriers and dividers that separate passenger car parking areas from designated truck park areas. As you move through the truck stop, make sure that you can clear all overhead objects, as well as any objects to the sides or rear of the vehicle. If you're not certain of clearances, get out of the truck and check, or have a spotter assist you. Clean, well-lighted, clearly marked truck stops are among the important things that truck stop operators can contribute to the effort to reduce truck stop accidents. Another important way truck stop operators can help is by working closely with city and county zoning and transportation officials to provide adequate, controlled entrances and exits into and out of their truck stops. Let's take a minute to review the important points drivers and truck stop operators can take to make entering a truck stop safer. Drivers should increase your scanning. Drive slowly and keep the engine speed down. Stay alert for exposed objects in the traffic lanes. Pay attention to posted speed limit signs, directional signs, and barriers. And make sure that you can clear overhead objects and objects to the sides or rear of your vehicle. Truck stop operators can provide clean, well-lighted, clearly marked truck stops and work closely with local officials to provide adequate, controlled entrances and exits. As you move through the truck stop, be cautious of passenger vehicles pulling alongside or passing your truck. As we've said before, confined spaces like truck stops require more intense scanning. Once you stop and prepare to exit the truck cab, look for fuel oil, grease, or other objects on the ground. Most conscientious truck stop operators quickly hose down or apply oil soak on oil and fuel spills. During the winter months, be cautious of snow and ice when you're leaving your truck. Personal injuries resulting from slips and falls still create significant problems for drivers and their companies. When fueling or servicing your truck, remember that diesel fuel is very volatile. Around truck stops, the no smoking rule is extremely important. Take a look around the vehicle before you move the truck after refueling. Look for any vehicles, objects, or persons that might create a problem, especially in your blind spots. It's also a great opportunity to check the vehicle for any defects. Make certain that you have adequate space to proceed. If you have to make a turn out of the fuel island, monitor both mirrors to assure proper clearances. If you cut it short, you might be driving away with a fuel pump attached to your trailer, and the folks at the truck stop probably won't appreciate that. Of the types of accidents that occur at truck stops, backing accidents are the most frequent. If possible, drivers should park in a space where backing would not be necessary. If you do have to back at a stop, do yourself, other drivers, and the truck stop operators a big favor. Ask a spotter for help. This one simple rule can save you and the industry hundreds of thousands of dollars each year. At night, backing presents more of a challenge. With limited parking space and darkness, the benefits of using a spotter are even greater. If you have to leave your truck, remember that quite a few drivers have parked, left the vehicle for a meal, a shower, or whatever, and returned to find that somebody else has backed into their truck. So if possible, position your vehicle between two parked trucks or in some area where the flow of trucks generally moves forward. You can determine this by analyzing the stop as you pull in and move through. This will minimize the chances of your truck being hit by another truck backing up. Truck stops and rest areas with angled parking provide the easiest and safest way to enter, park, and then exit. Pulling into service bays or garages are another common problem for drivers. Truck stop operators can help by providing a spotter to assist the driver or by having entrance and exit lanes around the service area clearly marked. Once in the garage, drivers should exercise extreme caution to avoid falling into the service pits. This does happen more frequently than most people think. These areas should be well marked and protected with chains or some barrier. Another general rule is to park where you can keep an eye on the truck if you leave it for a meal or take a break. This isn't always possible, but when it is, take advantage of the opportunity to protect the equipment and the load. Truck stop operators can do their part by having well-lighted and perhaps secured or fenced parking areas. Let's take a minute to review the important points drivers and truck stop operators can take to make the truck stop area safer. Drive through the truck stop with extreme caution. Before moving again, take a look around the vehicle for any vehicles, objects, or persons in your blind spots. If you have to back at a stop, ask a spotter for help. Park between two parked trucks with adequate maneuvering space, or in some area where the flow of trucks generally moves forward. Angle park if at all possible. Be extra cautious in garages and service bays. And if possible, park in a well-lighted area where you can keep an eye on the truck. As you prepare to exit the truck stop, make certain that you're far enough away from or past other trucks, fuel pumps, passenger cars, and other obstacles as you back, turn, or move forward. As you pull out of the truck stop, remember that it's just like pulling out into an intersection. Proceed with extreme caution and make certain that before entering the highway, you have all the space and time needed to safely merge with other traffic. In rest areas, as in truck stops, watch for kids, pet animals, pedestrians, and other vehicles, especially during the summer vacation months. Once again, the rule of thumb is to intensify your scanning, reduce your speed, and be alert for the unexpected. Despite the best efforts of drivers and truck stop operators to eliminate the causes of accidents, we still must be prepared if they do happen. What should be done? First, the driver should write down as many details as possible. Information like the time, date, weather conditions, the nature of the accident, direction of travel, and other involved parties. The driver should also notify the truck stop management before leaving the facility. The truck stop should have a designated representative on all shifts to receive accident reports, visually inspect and verify the incident, and make a written report of the accident. Law enforcement officials should be notified when necessary.
It's a lot like driving inner city. You have the same obstacles to look out for. But drivers tend to forget about that. They think they're around all professional drivers. They don't realize that some of the drivers have just started driving. I think when they're backing out of their parking places, a simple thing like putting on their four-way signals so that they can see that's a live truck backing up. Now, you know, there's a lot of distractions going on. If you're in a parking lot that has lines, stay between the lines. It makes your hole that you're in a lot safer to be in, and it makes it easier to get in and out of that hole. The other thing I think that truck stop operators could do is put some signage up around the sides of the lot. You know, when a snowflake hits the ground or it starts to get a little dark, it's a little tough to see paintings on the line, or especially in the rain if it's on the blacktop. The signs are a little difficult to see. But I think the main thing we have to do is practice the same courtesy, the same patience, and the same professionalism as we do when we're driving inside of a city. Another thing to consider is that this truck is your responsibility. And when you go away from that truck for any length of time, it's now your responsibility to make sure that truck is still in the safe operating condition it was when you parked it. You have to check things like your placards, check your tires, make sure your door is still closed. Even if it's an empty trailer, the door is supposed to be closed. And another thing to do is to check your fifth wheel. If there isn't a posted speed, to stay within a responsible posted speed. 5-10 mile an hour should be tops through a parking lot with the amount of congestion in here. I think the other thing you have to remember too is a lot of truck stops also take cars. And we have the same problem with automobiles and truck stops as we have on the highway. They just assume that the truck driver is the professional, that he's got all the control in the world, and although we know that that's not entirely true, we have to take for granted that we have to handle it in a way in which we do have the control at that point. Even though we're professionals, and even though we look at ourselves as professionals, if it's necessary to get a spotter to back a truck up, that's the safe way to do it, then we have to get that spotter. Or another thing we could do is volunteer to spot for somebody else. We know what we expect to see in the mirror of a truck if we were to need a spotter, and we always wonder, we're always in the back of our mind, is that person that's spotting for us know what is expected? But we know what's expected, let's help the other guy out.
In an effort to make truck stop facilities and our nation's highways as safe as possible, drivers must share the responsibility by driving free of alcohol and illegal drugs. Remember that you now risk being put out of service for having an alcoholic beverage in the cab. What's even worse is that a conviction involving a .04 blood alcohol content could lead to a lifetime disqualification. The penalties for illegal drug use can lead to the total loss of commercial driving privileges, incarceration, and civil and criminal charges. Recently, ATA and NATSO have taken strong stands against the use of alcohol and drugs by drivers operating commercial vehicles. In fact, NATSO and its foundation are sponsoring Operation Roadblock, a program designed to help make America's highways drug-free. Operation Roadblock requires a partnership of truck stop operators, drivers, fleet managers, and other interested organizations. ATA is doing its part by working closely with motor carriers, DOT, and Congress to ensure continuation of fair, reasonable, and effective drug testing rules. Preventing accidents at truck stops is a mutual concern for drivers and truck stop operators. By taking extra care and remembering the points we've covered in this program, we can eliminate accidents and make truck stops one of the safest areas in the trucking industry.